Hello, so this is just another random, unplanned live stream. How's it going, Gav? Hi, Dave. This is just an unplanned live stream. Wasn't planning on doing this tonight, but I ended up getting a video recorded quickly. So I'm here again. Right now, I am just making some buns. Hi, Mark. Hi, Dylan. Hi, Ryan. Hi, Reese. It wouldn't surprise me if we do get the weirdos again. If we do, I can try and ban them this time. Hi, Scott. Comp went well. I won it. Got a bit lucky on the day, so it was good. How are you guys tonight? You all right? Hi, Jen. Hi, Barry. Hi, Scott. Hi, Nev. Hi, Gar. Hi, Scott. Good, guys. Good. So, as I just said, tonight I was supposed to be recording a bung video. I've already done that, so I thought got a bit of time to spare. Mrs. is out, so I thought I would jump on live stream. So right now I'm just tying up the rest of my bungs, basically. Normally get a batch of about 14 out of one piece of foam. So I've done 5 or 6. They look like this. So you can see that, we're focusing. And so I'm now in a position where we're working from that to get it to the right size and colour. Ryan was out today on Garn. Hard all day today, very hard. Lake was busy. Best way to treat a curly fly line. It all depends on why it's curly. Some cores, sometimes you should stretch the line, sometimes you shouldn't. It all depends on what the core is made of. I think if it's braid, it's okay. If it's mono, it shouldn't, but I could be wrong on that. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Gaz. Hi, Brian. I went out today, tied up some pink apps for each other. Nice one, Reese. Where did you go? Ryan should be in for a decent one. I think he stopped. No, sorry, a dog here. He stocked it late on today, so I think you'll be in for an alright day tomorrow. I know the weather's not looking great, but bad weather isn't necessarily a bad thing for fishing. Finn's fishing have Helrisa have you ever fished Mysa Coav? Never heard of it. Have I got the mongoose vice also? Does your rotary part stick? Oh, this is donkey's old, this is. And no, the rotary part is actually quite loose. Even if you tighten it, it gradually gets loose. But the mongoose we've had it about 15, 16 years, I think, or something like that. But it does the job. Have any of you guys been out today fishing? If you have, how'd they go? Put in the comments. I know it, Reese. Hi guys. Fishing the bung, how far from the fly line do you place the bung? It all depends, mate. Some days, for example, today was like a foot below the bung. Last week up in Eisteddfod, it was 9 foot below the bung. It all depends on the water, the fish, how deep it is, where the fish tend to sit on that day. You know, it really changes, and you've just got to be receptive to changing as and when. Cheers, Buttock. Jen, I don't tie flies to sell, if I'm honest. I tend to stay away from that. There's plenty of other people doing it. I sometimes put some flies on Instagram, normally on a Saturday, and it's a small selection. They normally always go to for fundraising for the Welsh team. To give you an idea, there's also a box here. Let me put it across. So, see if I can open this for you. So before long, we're going to do a raffle, and if you can see all of those flies there, it's a perfect winter stillwater box. They've been tied by 3 members of the Welsh team this year, and they'll go for raffle in the next couple of weeks. It'll be a bonus ball raffle, so it'll be a £5 a ticket, 59 tickets. Once everybody's paid, it will go up on the National Lottery, UK National Lottery bonus ball. So if you want to keep an eye out for that on my social media, I'll be posting that before long. It's a good chance if you get lucky and you win. It's a great selection of flies, and those are tied by the bank team, so you know that they are killers. Basically, we don't tie flies that don't work. So the boys who tie those flies are tying flies that actually catch fish. Reese, do new tyres have problems matching left and right wings? Yes, Dewi. Yes, they do. I'm no good at it, but then I don't tie left and right winged flies that don't need to. I guess if you're river fishing and fishing dries, you would. Jen, did you have a flat calm conditions today? Yeah, I would say so. It was a mix of flat calm with a bit of wind, but largely it was flat calm. So bright sun, flat calm. Again, really hard day. Really hard because the lake was full. So in terms of trying to find taking fish at that point, that becomes half the battle. Hey Reese, when did you last fish the Howard and what did you think of it? Steve, it was probably about 2015. But when I did, it was good. Enjoyed it. I think I went there a couple of times to probably fish the right side where the dam is, where the concrete is. That was where I had my best success, but there really. Gavin, when the weather is bad, what tactics are best to use? What type of fishery are you on? Are you on a small water? Are you on a large reservoir? Normally, bad weather, at least with wind, if wind is there, it normally means that the slower static moor methods are out. You can't fish them because you haven't got the right level of control over the flies in the line to keep in contact with them, to understand when a fish is taking it or not. So in bad weather, you tend to go toward the other things like fishing, fishing blobs on a die line. It all depends on where you're fishing. If it's a small still water, it's completely different to a large reservoir. Sean, even but not. Cheers, Sean. Hi mate, how did you go on the last week's comp? It won it. Yeah, good. It was one of those days where the only thing I was really going was the bung. Zach, did you fish the Sierra Pears this year? No, I didn't. I didn't fish them at all. We've played around the idea of entering, but for one reason or another, for one reason or another, it just never works out to be great timing for us. Gavin, small still water. So in a heavy wind and a small still water, you're going to be fishing stuff that moves. So your damsels, your black lures, your cat's whiskers. You're going to fish them on heavy sinking lines, depending on the water depth. You aren't going to be in a position where you can really fish things small and slowly. So you can't really fish a team of nymphs sort of washing line in a heavy wind, largely because you can't cast the flies if you're fishing into the wind. You can't cast the flies and have them turn over nicely, and then the wind is going to push them in so quickly they're not going to get the water time that they need to come across convincing to the fish, if that makes sense. John, have you ever fished any fisheries in the east coast of Scotland? Lochynch, Keller Estate, Keds, Glen of Rhodes, Warden? No, I haven't. I fished Kilkenny. I've fished that's the east coast, isn't it? I know it's north and east coast. Fished there. Haven't made it to Lochynch. Isn't Lochynch like right to the top? I know it's a really good fishery. I know it's run by Rolly, stay there. I know it's run by a really good fishery owner, but no. Yeah, to answer your question, I fished Kingenny on the east coast, and that's right night on about 8. Most of my fishing has been central or west coast after that. In small still waters, do fish tend to stay around the same spot? I think, yeah, to an extent. Then there's less water for them to maneuver around in, so they become acclimatized to where they are. They find their home, and then you'll tend to find that majority of fish will sit in. If for example, you've got a big lake, yeah, a big small still water, and let's say, for example, 70% of it is 6 foot deep, but there are 3 parts of that lake that are 12 foot deep. At some point, the fish are going to hold in that 12-foot holes. So if there are 3 platforms, which let's number them, for example. So let's say if there's 24 platforms or 30 platforms, and 1, 7, and 12 have deep water on them. At some point in winter and summer, the fish are going to hold in those because there's more water there. The temperatures in the water column will differ there to whether they to how they would in the 6-foot areas of water, if that makes sense. Sorry, there's a lot of questions. Reese, I'd go if I have 3 flies for this winter. You won't go wrong with a damsel. You won't go wrong with I'm going to say a fab, because not enough people fish them. People are so tailed into certain methods that stuff like fabs goes unnoticed, and then you have to have a diabach. Even in winter, diabach will catch fish. Dave, no, I haven't. I fished Bushy Lees once. I went up there. I helped out with a trout fisherman feature years ago, and that was on Bushy Lees. But I've never gone to Letchlade. I've never been to a big fishery, or one dedicated just to big fish. Never tried it. I don't think it's not something I've got an interest in, to be honest. But I probably will try it at some point. I know the Letchlade is probably the number 1 choice for that, if anything. Cheers, Willie. How many lake flies can be adapted to fish in a river? 6s, 12 to 16 and smaller. How many lake flies? I would say the opposite. You can adapt more river flies to fish the lake than you can the other way around. If you are thinking of doing that, though, in terms of adapting down, there's different ways of going with it. Streamer fishing for browns is a thing, and then so all you need to do then is basically scale down and change the kind of hook set for a cat's whisker or a black lure to make it suitable for the river. Put a bead on it because you're fishing in a river. Same way with dry fly. I'm sure a yellow owl would work on the river, even if you were to put some cocktail on in the tail, and then it looks more like a dun than a hatching emerger. And then nymphs, then obviously the pheasant tail catches on so many fish on a river that you would just take it and put a bead on it from the still water to go to a river. River fishing is a lot more about weight and how you can get the flies to the right places in the river more than anything. It doesn't really matter what pattern you've got on, to an extent. Going back to Letchlade after a poor day Wednesday, the fish were taking no fly in particular on flat calm. It looks like calm again. Any ideas? Having fished Letchlade, having not fished Letchlade, I don't know anything about it. So, as I understand it, the answer of these big fisheries is you put something heavy on, and then you go stalking. And if you can't stalk, then you've mainly fished lures. I don't know if fishing a bung and stuff like that is common in places like that. I know that Letchlade, they've got a boat. They've got a boat there, isn't there? Isn't there a place where if you go to Letchlade, if you can't catch stalking around the lake and you can't catch around the lake, just try and get onto the boat and just chuck it toward the house. And there's a inlet coming up by the house, and that is where there's a pile of fish all the time. I could be wrong. Never been there. I'm just hearing stories of what people have told me. Can you please do a competition on fishing rules and guide? Yeah, I certainly can. Are you interested in Phipps Moosh or just kind of etiquette, or what specifically is it that you would like to know more about? Stephen, have you ever used the Sharps of Aberdeen Gordon tool, and if so, would you recommend it? Nope, never used the Sharps rod in my life. Sean, have you ever fished the River Moy, Reese? No, I think, isn't that a salmon river in Ireland? If it is, if it's not, and I'm not clear what I'm talking about. If it is, I think we went there as kids. And if I'm thinking of the river, is that the one that's got the river running through the centre of the town? And there's a really famous beat on there, which costs an insane amount of money to go on. If it is that one, we have driven through it, sat there and watched the salmon angler fish while we were fishing on Con when I was in the youth years ago now, probably 12, 13, 14 years ago. Colin Reed, what's your number one fly if you only had to use all day? Rory, come on. Sorry. Good question. Hard question, because one fly won't work all day. But if you had to pick something, it would be a lure, without a doubt. And it would either be a cat's whisker variation or a damsel variation. Hope that answers your question. Just about to bake some booby highs. How do you like your comp boobies, with or without marabou? With. Always with. Most of my boobies are tied. Candy floss is obviously mainly marabou, but like actually, yeah, no, I would say marabou, yeah. Even the ones that don't have marabou in the wing, they still have a bit in the tail. How do you attach your leader loop collection or something else, and what's the easiest way to change lines over? I just do it with a double Davy knot. I use double Davy knot for everything. It hasn't failed me since I changed to it a few years ago. The easiest way to change lines over, it all depends what you're going to do. So for example, today I had a damsel on at one point, and I didn't want to change the damsel. I wanted to change the depth I was fishing the damsel at. So I had a 12-foot leader from the line to the fly. So all I did was reel the whole line in to the point where the line is on the spool and the leader is running through the rod. And then all I have to do then is quickly change over the spools, cut it off, cut the leader off from the fly line, and then tie it back on. And then what you do is pull the fly and pull it through. 1 second, someone's come to the door. Oh. Sorry about that. Dog's got. I had to leave the dogs out. So what is it? Yeah. So just reel it all the way in, take it off, tie it back on, then change the spools, and then tie it back on, and you're good to go. Scottish fly fisher. I'm going to fish tomorrow, and I don't want to use my intermediate line because it's rubbish. The only other lines I have are a die 5 and a floater, and I don't want to use the bung. What would you suggest? Use a floater. Use a floater, and then use flies to cover the depth. So, for example, if you're fishing a floater with 2 GR backs and a booby on, you know you're not fishing more than the top 3 or 4 foot of water. If you need to cover 6 foot, then put a long leader on, say 12, 14 foot if you can manage that, and fish a heavy fly with a bead on it. Chuck it out, count to 20 before you start retrieving, and then start the retrieve and keep it slow so that the fly stays as deep as it possibly can, for as long as it can. I use a lot of river flies on still water, especially dries. There you go. The fish are around £9 at Letchlade. 1 second, back up. Hello, where's she now?
Who?
Back.
Down.
Hello, live streaming. Oh. Sorry about that. Hi Barry. Oh, hi Chad. What's your 3 top dialback patterns? Red holographic dialback, just standard. A traffic light dialback with jungle cheeks, and then probably a black holographic dialback, drab as hell. The kind of fly you want to use when it's like nothing else is happening and the fish are just really wised up to all types of colours and flies. Can a humongous be fished in the river, for example? Yes, definitely it can. One thing you want to do is put some weight on the front. So if you're using beach chain, is fine, but I would put I would tie it on a jig hook with a 3 or 3.5mm bead on it and fish it that way. You will catch trout on a humongous in the river, without a doubt. Fishing tomorrow. 40 mile winds, torrential rain here in Kent. Lectures Gate. Fishing a small still water called Turning Trout Water tomorrow. Very okay. 2 bucks. Nice one, Chad. I'd like to try and represent my country on small lakes one day. Can you please do a video on FIPS moosh competitions to cover what flies we can use, how it works, etiquette? Certainly, Andrew. It'll take a while for me to get around to that, but certainly an idea for one of the videos next. What's the best rod you've ever used? Right. Best rod I've ever used. The rod that stuck with me the most is a Reddington Redfly, 7 weight, 16 years old now, and somehow somebody was selling one 2 weeks ago up in mid Wales, so I went and bought a second one. I wouldn't say it's the best rod in the world, but it's the rod that I like, and I think that's the important thing. Is that what rod that I like is you might pick it up and go, oh, this is heavy, it's stiff, it's not what I like. It's all about what you prefer. But a Reddington Redfly, they don't make them anymore, and they weren't expensive then. They were about 160 quid when they first came out, but that was kind of the line I would go to. That's the one, Sean. I thought it was, and when we were there, someone did have a salmon, but we were literally just passing through there to go to Lochcon for the youth. Oscar, how do you think the best way to fish a bloodworm? All depends, really. Slow, static, moving. You've probably seen, if you haven't seen it, go and check out the worms video I just did this week. That covers off everything. I mean, you can fish it however you want. So, for example, my box is on here now. Last week, I had a bit of a brainstorm. I thought, right, let's tie a bloodworm that's about this big on a beaded hook and just chuck it under a bung down deep. And so I went up to, instead of the last week, tried that, and I never had a fly like that in my box before. Tried it, and it caught. I had one, and it dropped 3 fish in a practice day up there. So that gave me confidence. Then I'm going, oh, this works. So how do you fish a bloodworm? It all depends on the fishery, the conditions, what time of year it is. You've got to think about those as you go. This time of year, bloodworm is at the obviously it's at the bottom of the lake bed, so you would naturally fish a bloodworm normally deep if you're trying to replicate an actual bloodworm. Hopefully that answers your question, Oscar. Thank you. That's good. No worries, Harry. In terms of catching fish on droppers, I don't really know what to say to that. I mean, it all depends on like leader strength and how you set your droppers up, how long they are. Generally, you should find that you should take fish on your droppers if it's not happening for you, just make sure that they're not tangling at all, or your droppers aren't too short or too long, for example. What are some up-and-coming video ideas, and what are your upload schedules? At the moment, the goal was to try and do a video a week, but it's just really hard to find the time to do that, edit it, and other things. I've just filmed a how to do the bung video tonight. So how to do bung, how to make a competition bung. So that will get edited this week and go up at some point. After that, we have already filmed Reese versus Jeremy 2. That was filmed about a month ago. So I need to start editing that. That'll take a while. And then I don't know. You tell me. What other ideas would you like to see? I know that we've got one already, which is about competition smoosh fishing. What else is it that you're interested in learning about that I might know something about? Roland. If your lines don't come with welded loops, how would you attach leader? Getting nervous using nail knots. Don't use nail knots. Get some braid. Make a braided loop yourself. Very easy to do, or buy them if you're not sure. They don't cost much. And then attach one on to the end of the fly line. Because we don't use tapered leaders that much, nail knots aren't a thing that we're going to actually bother using that much. So just use a braided loop, and it'll make life way easier for you. If I could own a fishery, I don't know. If I won the lottery, I've thought about, like, that was what I would do. I would set up a business that is a fishery, and I've already thought about how it would look, how big it would be, what would be an interesting fishery for people to visit. In terms of fisheries, obviously Ghana is really good. Fish it so often. Kilkenny was something special. If you haven't been up there and you live in Scotland, get up there. The setup is obviously it used to be a farming family that are diversified into a fishery, and they've got several lakes, massive fish, and good numbers of fish as well. So yeah, I think everybody's got an idea if they run a fishery or owned a fishery what it would look like, and yeah, I got mine. What's the biggest fish I've ever caught? I've had an 18-pound rainbow, I've had a 17-pound brown, I've had a 12-pound bass. Yeah, so about 18-pound probably. So not big, but not, nothing special. Most people have caught fish around that size. How are you finding your vision still a maniac? Not gonna lie, it's a banging rod. It is really good for pulling, for lures, anything like that. I'm gonna do a review on that rod at some point soon. I just need a bit more time with it. I've only had it about 2 weeks, but initial impressions are that it's a great rod. If you're asking for a recommendation and you fish still waters and you don't have a rod, or you're looking for an improvement in a rod to do with lure fishing, then I would say, yeah, have a look at it. It's well worth the money. Judith, 100% yes. Pressure is one of the key things that affects fishing. Now, trout anglers, or we mostly as trout anglers don't pay attention to it that much. We just say, oh, it's high pressure coming in, and that's it. The fishing's going to be hard. Whereas within the bass fishing side of things, so in bass fishing, we document everything about our catches, and there's a definite different approach in bass fishing to how we fish with trout. So, for example, we started bass fishing this year, and we documented every day out we went, and we were recording everything from tide, the time we caught the fish on the tide, the height of the tide, the height of the swell the week before, the weather, the location, the time, the lure, how the lure was fished, what time of day it was caught, what pressure it was. All of those things go in to paint a picture, so that hypothetically, when you turn up a month later on the same set of tides at the same location at the same time of day, hopefully with the same type of weather, you would know that, okay, 2 hours in on the tide, I'm going to catch this bass. And so it's applying that same approach. So we as trout fishermen don't do that enough. Could it help us? I think it could. But to answer your question, yeah, it definitely affects how trout feed, how trout respond to certain flies and certain retrieves and stuff. If you could use one line, floating, intermediate, and one technique, what would it be? Someone asked me this last week. Floating line, diawl bach, buzzer, damsel, all on one cast. Simple. What's your best killer flies for the lake of Menteith? Cutthroat, cat, and booby seem to do well. What's your fav? So when I used to fish Menteith, double decker, that was my favourite. To be fair, most of the time I would fish Menteith in the spring and summer, excuse me, and then small still waters in the winter. So double decker, Menteith is basically just a washing line fishery. You could fish a washing line every day of the year on a different line and catch fish. So anything like a candy floss booby, a cormorant or a diawl in the middle, or 2 diawls, and then a blob on the top. The blob pulls the fish in, draws them in. They turn around, they see the diawl, they take that, and then the booby or the fab on the point acts as the attractor in terms of splooshin. So when you cast your line out, it turns over 2 long strips. The booby will just push the water, and you're good to go. So yeah. Cheers, Woodturner. What size of fish would you stock? A mix of everything. I think that the success of a fishery is these days a lot about numbers. Unfortunately, it just is. People want to catch fish. People expect to catch fish. So it's not like the days where you'd struggle before and 2 fish was enough. People can often go to some fisheries that are heavily stocked and catch 15, 20, 30 fish in a day. And so that's just created an expectation, I think, across us as fishermen that that's what we want. So it would be numbers primarily, and then probably a few big fish, because I think a big fish is always special. I did see it, Mark, and I thought that car's going to collapse into that ditch there. And I thought, who's done that? It was Mark Thomas was there. No worries, Dave. People say lures for winter, but is it possible to still get good numbers on nymphs this time of year? Yeah, definitely. So last year, I went to Eldine on December the 23rd, and it was a hard old day. Wasn't really catching much. I was getting the odd fish here and there. And then at 12 o'clock, I was getting frustrated. I hadn't sussed anything out, so I thought, oh, screw this. Put a midship on, 3 straight diawls, and I had, I think, about 8 or 9 in the space of an hour and a half, all out of one corner on the top lake. So That was December the 23rd. It hadn't been particularly nice weather that week, so it just goes to show that on some fisheries it's definitely the way to go in winter. Today, for example, now Garn didn't have anything coming to small stuff to nymphs and stuff like that. It all depends on the fishery you go to, what the fish are like, how fresh they are. All of those things tend to matter. Can you guys hear me all right? I've got a new mic in. I'm not sure if it's working. It's coming off a boom here. I don't know whether it's better than just a normal phone mic. Evening, Gordon. What depth to fish the flies into the bung, conditions-wise? Jake, it all depends. So, perfect example, I mentioned at the beginning of this, last week up in Eisteddfod was 9 foot. That's because the lake is, I think, 25 foot deep at its deepest point. So on some parts of the lake, you have to fish deep. But that comes with just finding it out, basically. So it all depends on the fishery, where you're fishing. So I started off on Eisteddfod, fishing high, probably about, I don't know, 4 or 5 foot under the bung. And that was working fine, catching fish, and I went dead. And then I spent 2 hours not catching anything on the bung. And then I thought, all right, let's just drop it right down. Just go 7 foot, for example, just to see. And then I had one take. Right, okay, that's a good sign. Means that the fish are deeper. They haven't disappeared, they're still there. So then I went down deeper again. And then as I went down deeper to like 9 foot, the takes were coming much quicker than they were at 7 foot. So as you can see, that was just process of elimination. Started off high in the morning, and then as the day went on, with a bit of trial and error, I found they were deep. It's just trial and error. I'm in the market for a new floating rhino, £50. What would you recommend? Cortland, SL, mint green. Can't get any better line than that. I have had one of the new, one of the new Sunray lines. I bought one of them on the Black Friday sale. It's quite a nice line. Whether it lasts is a different thing. I've heard mixed rumours about how long they last, but to cast, it's been a quite nice line to use. But otherwise, I would suggest going for the Cortland. No, you've got enough colours there, Gordon. You'd be good with those. Would I consider doing a pro versus amateur video using different levels of fishing equipment to showcase how skill plays an active part in fishing? Pro versus amateur. So is that, sorry, high motive, do you mean showing what a setup that's like £1,000 is like compared to a setup that's like £100 is like, or do you mean, I don't quite understand the question, please clarify it a little bit and I'll help you. Hi James, for your bungs, you can reuse. They're not intended to be reused. They are single use only. You can, with a bit of leeway, reuse them. So what you would do is, we got one here. 1 second. Okay, I brought one here. So, hypothetically, let's say there's one here I've used up. Perfect. Okay, so I've used both of these before. And yeah, perfect. Okay, so this black one, if you look in the center of the hole there, I know it doesn't look great on this phone camera, so apologies. But if you look in there, there's a stopper there. There's a black stopper there. You can rip that black stopper out, and that's what I've done with this one. So I've ripped it out of this one. You can see the hole straight through. And then all you would do then is you would take the extra beige stoppers that you've got left, because there's normally a few of them left, and then you would initially attach the beige stopper on first, then put this one, and then run the leader through, and then run the leader through once more. Take it through a second time, attach the second beige stopper, and then that makes it reusable. But once you run out of beige stoppers, you're done. You can't reuse them again and again and again. Hi Glenn. Me versus an absolute newbie with some really poor equipment against someone using top spec. So anybody can beat anybody on any day. I have days where I blank still, and if you put someone on the right peg with the right amount of fish in front of them with the right fly, they'll catch more fish than you. Simple as. So have I thought about doing a video like that? Not really. I'd be more interested in kind of doing a video where I help someone. So for example, we take somebody that is first year fly fishing, really eager, really keen to learn more about it, but they're just not sure. They can't see the wood from the trees about what they should be doing, why they should be doing that. That would be more interesting to me than a video of, well, look, here's somebody who's done it for years, who's got all this expensive kit, against somebody who doesn't know what they're doing and doesn't have expensive kit. And if you've watched my videos, you know that I don't really use expensive kit. I'm happy using a 40 quid rod. So I think it'd be more interesting to do a video where we sit down with somebody and we go fishing together, and it's about helping them understand, right, this is why we're going to do this method, this is why we're doing this decision, so on and so forth. Hopefully that answers your question. Gordon, currently looking at cassette reels, what's the best on the market currently? I use the Airflow Switch blacks, but I know that they are discontinuing them, I think. So they'll be replaced soon with a new reel, I'd imagine. So maybe keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, I think quite a few people use greys. There's quite a few different cassette reels out there. I just use 3, so I got 5 of them actually, 5 Switch blacks. Cheers, Glenn. I think it was about 8 or 9, maybe 7, 8, 9, something like that. Any helps to catch more brown trout in a still water? Are the brown trout wild? Are they stocked? Where is it in the country? How deep is it? So many questions to think about before you even think about helping someone with your device of a brown trout. Stephen M, what's your top pick flies for winter trout fishing? Damsel, fab, and then a blob or an egg or something like that for the bung. Lee has just started fishing and struggles casting more than 12 feet. Anyone top tip for him? Top tip for someone trying to cast 12 feet. If I'm honest, 12 feet is far enough. Might not sound much, but you'd be surprised on still waters how many fish you can catch at 12 feet out. But it would be go and sit in a field with a piece of fluff on, or if you live in the city, you go and buy a local park or a rugby pitch and just practice casting. That's how Jeremy, when I was younger, Jeremy wouldn't allow me to come fishing with him, fly fishing with him, until I could cast properly. So I'd have to go out in a field in front of our house most weekends and just sit there and practice casting. And it was the same sea fishing before that. Before I was going to go sea fishing with him, he'd give me a river rod with a couple of ounce lead, And he said, go and practice chucking it as far as you can. And that's what I did. And then eventually, when you came to fishing, then I'd have to worry about casting because I was thinking about, right, okay, now I can think about actually fishing. Why am I making this decision to put that fly on and so on, as opposed to, can I get the fly line far enough? So, and I wouldn't worry about looking stupid in the field. Who cares? We've all done it. So that's the best tip I would give to somebody. How's it going, Simon? Do I ever use split shot to get a fly down on a floating line? No, use a bead instead. What's my best dry fly? Smashed this last week. Yellow owl. Can't go wrong with it. In different sizes, it will catch you a lot of fish. Do you catch more on blobs or eggs? I'd say more on blobs because you can fish blobs in a variety of more ways than you can with eggs. So I would. The device I'm using is a mongoose. It's old as hell. It's perfect for what I need. Okay, so where are we at now? A couple more to do. We're almost finished. So I'll probably give it another 5 minutes and then I'm going to head off for the night then. Be on you almost an hour. So as we've only got a few minutes left, why don't we take this opportunity for you guys to tell me what you would like to see more of. I'm thinking about ideas now over the next few months, and we've got a couple planned up. But at the end of the day, this channel is there to help people catch fish. So if there's any question that you have, or there's something that you would like to see a video on that you don't know about, just ask and just say it, because it'll be easy for me to take that away then and think, okay, that's easy to do, won't take long, and we can get a video done about it. Is daddy longlegs on an indicator? I've never fished daddy longlegs on an indicator. Never done that, so I wouldn't know, if I'm honest. Again, trial and error. Try it out. If it doesn't work in the first hour or two, then for that day, it's not the method to go to, if that makes sense. Kyle, for Clywed dog, it's a bit like Menteith. It's one of those fisheries you can fish a washing line all year round and do quite well on. If you're fishing off the bank, it's different. I haven't fished the bank that much, if I'm honest. But if you're fishing a boat, from kind of spring onwards, it's just washing line and dries now on. You won't go far wrong with 2 diabachs and a candy floss booby or something like that. The 120 challenge, yeah, we could do that. That wouldn't be hard to do. Please do a video on how to tie a red holographic diabach. Yeah, I can do that, that's not a problem. The reason why I haven't done that is I thought there are umpteen videos out there on how to do it, and do we need another one? But if you want one, you can easily do one. Won't take long at all. So I have got an idea for one video coming up, and have I got it here? Let's have a look. Where is it? It was here. I don't know what I've done with it. 1 second. So, see the box of flies? These are Rio's new box that they've sent me to have a look at. So this is a perfect, I'm saying perfect because it literally is, perfect winter box if you are new or don't know what you're doing. It's got everything. It's got cat bugs, watsits, lures, small stuff like buzzers, 2 bungs, squirmies, eggs. It's got everything you need. So Frio have sent this across to us to kind of do a kind of how-to video on. So what I'll be doing with this is going through each fly, how to fish them, and how to get the most out of them this winter. And if I'm honest, it's a great looking box of flies. You won't go far wrong at all fishing this now all the way through to summer. How to fish natural flies and which ones to use in February, March in a small lake. Yeah. Tackle reviews and top flies for different situations, like the best way to fish bright sun and clear water. Okay. What stuff are you putting on the bung reese? This is just some hardhead orange loon. There's going to be a video about this week at some point. That's what I've been filming tonight. So I'm going to show you exactly how to create one of these bungs. Do you do any fly fishing float tube? No, I don't, because there aren't many places in South Wales where that's allowed or permitted. Otherwise I would. I have ummed and ahed with the idea of buying one and starting pike fishing. But at the moment, time is limited at best, so for now it's just a afterthought. Video on different leader setups, different knots. Gordon, I've already done some. So if what exactly you're looking for? So I've done a dropper knot video. I only use a double davy. I don't use any other knot for any of my leaders. I've done a dropper knot. I use double Davy knot, and then in terms of leaders and setups, I've kind of elaborated on those in each video that we do. So if you go back to like nymph video, how to fish nymphs, in that video we go through leader setups. In the buzzer video we do the same. In the washing line video we do the same. So what exactly is it you're kind of looking for? Thank you. They're my dramas. Working from home. So Ryan said he's fishing Garn tomorrow. Who else is out fishing tomorrow? Barry said he's fishing his local water. Is anybody else braving the storms tomorrow to go fishing? If you are, where are you going? Stephen M, no I haven't. I'd like to, but just there's not enough time. Not enough time in the day to start pike fishing, to be honest. In the summer I'll probably go back to bass now. Right, I'm done, I think. There you go, look. 6 bungs. Just need to dry them now, and I'll be good to go. Right then, guys, I'm going to call it a night for tonight now. Thanks for tuning in. Again, wasn't planned. What I'll do is we'll catch up again now in the not too distant future. There'll be a video up this week about the bung, so if you want to know how to make a competition bung, tune in for that one. And I will see you when I see you. Take care.